Hey, everybody, welcome to another conversation. You know what? Today will be the day that I finish my 50 conversations. It happened very quickly. I wasn't expecting it to go this quick. And here's my dilemma. I've been enjoying it so much, I'm going to start 50.2 conversations because I want to do more of them. Because what's happening, first of all, is this room has become a magic room. And now what I want to do is I want to try and spread it out because I want to get to people that don't think like me, don't believe like me, don't know like me. And in social media, the posts that I put up, social media often limits us to see only the voices that are similar to our voices. So I'm going to join groups that are not my groups. I'm going to try and go to places. I'm going to try and put things in to see if what happens in this room with people that are strangers can happen also in this room with people that are ideologically strangers as well. Because there's been something magnificently beautiful that happens in this room. No matter how different we are, no matter where we're speaking from, no matter what color our skin, no matter what religion we practice, we have always, within the first few moments, found something that we resonate with together. There's a connection immediately with everybody that I've talked to. Today, I already know that connection exists because I could feel her before we even started. And we had a brief conversation. And Gail Saunders is in Greece, somewhere on one of the islands. I'm going to let her tell you where that is because I only heard that she was in Greece. So we're not even in the same country. There's storms going on or winds that are blowing where she is, which makes her connection to the internet unstable. But here we are. So we're asking the gods of the internet to keep us connected. She's already poured Reiki into her side, which already I know now. I love her and I can feel her. And I know we're sort of blended in, but I really don't know that much about her. So Gail Saunders, welcome to 50 Conversations. How are you?
Thank you, Danny. I'm very happy to be here. And it is exciting how we can do such things now across the world.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
amazing.
It really is. Um, because I don't know who you are. If you were on my podcast, I would research you. I would know who you are. I could read your bio. I'd have all these things going on. We didn't. This is not that. This is purposely meant to have two people who don't know each other walk into a room and get to know each other. So, Gail Saunders, who are you, and what's important to you?
I'd say I'm a woman that's passionate about living fully to the max. I'm a person who is, from very young age, followed her heart in making decisions, and went out of the box of what we were told to be or do many times. And it all has worked well for me doing those choices. And I've lived on 3 continents,
Wow.
had many different careers. So, yeah.
And so, what's important
I'd
to you?
say the underlying element to, yeah, probably the most important thing is love,
Love. Yeah.
embodying love, expressing love, um, inspiring people, healing. Yeah.
So there is so much in that I want to unpack, and so much because it's you can feel every word is laced with that. That's not just words that you're saying, but that's something you can feel that you feel. And so I want to thank you for showing up that way, coming into a room with a stranger and just being that vulnerable, being that real, being that honest. I bet there are a lot of people listening right now who would say, love's important to me too. And I really know that love's
Mhm.
the most powerful force in the universe. But I've been hurt so many
Yes.
times. And I'm scared to love. I'm scared to open up my heart. What counsel or advice or experience that you have would you give to people that they would be able to
Mhm.
say, I know what you're talking about. And all I can say is this is what I happened to me and this is where I went with it. What might you say to somebody now?
I have known great love. I am blessed with that experience. I had a wonderful man, Frank Saunders, in my life. We were married almost 29 years when he died of cancer at 51, 21 years ago.
Wow.
And it would have been really easy to close my heart after that because it was so painful, the loss. And I was determined, first of all, not to become a victim. I mean, we were all our victims at times, but it wasn't going to become my identity. You know,
Yes.
it wasn't going to be who I was. Instead of a wife, I'm not now a victim. So I was determined to heal that exploded heart out here instead of armoring it and closing it down, which it took me 3 years.
Wow.
But I can say I have probably a bigger heart, stronger heart, because it healed out there, more compassionate heart.
Yeah. Well, it's true often in just the way of the body that often when a bone breaks and it then heals, it's stronger than it was before it broke,
Yes.
right? It's
The
one of the
scar tissue.
oddities.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah,
I I
yeah,
don't know that I understand it, but it's one of the oddities
yeah.
of ourselves. So what you're saying is so beautiful, and I want listeners to take a moment and pause and just hear this because all of us have had our hearts broken. All of us have experienced massive pains.
Yes.
And when the broken heart heals, somehow it comes back stronger. So have the courage to do the work that you need to
Yeah.
do to allow yourself to heal,
To feel the feelings
to feel
instead
them.
of avoiding them, which I really wanted to do because it was
Yeah.
so painful. But because of the Reiki, I'm a Reiki master teacher. I knew that the body holds trauma and stuck emotions. So I was determined to feel all the feelings and express them in as many ways as I could do. A woman I took a grief course with, she taught for 25 years, Marilyn Grossball, and she goes, nobody has ever grieved like you, Gail.
Wow.
You need to write a book, which I did do. But it was, she said, you've tried everything.
Wow. And the name of that book, because now it's lobbed over the net, what is the name of that book?
Resilient Heart,
Resilient Heart.
transcending the death of your loved one. But it's
And
good for any kind of loss because it's the same process. Yeah.
and that's available on Amazon, I take it?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Resilient Heart.
It's become an international bestseller in 4
Fabulous.
countries.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, to me, it's getting into the hands and hearts of people that can help. So right
Absolutely.
now I'm in the process of trying to learn how to do an audiobook, make it an audiobook. So that's my next
Fabulous.
one.
Fabulous. Gail, what makes you happy?
A lot of things. I celebrate waking up every day and living in a Greek island, swimming in the Aegean Sea every day almost. I'm in heaven. It's my happy place under that water with snorkel.
Yeah.
And I also am passionate about writing. So I'm a writer and an artist. Do energy work, healing work. Yeah.
So have you written more than Resilient Heart, or is that the one book you have out now and you're writing more as we
There's
speak?
4 books out. 4
Four
books
books.
out. 3 are international bestsellers. They're all books to help people,
Fabulous.
transformational books. And then I'm writing shorter pieces right now, so to get into, I don't know for how yet, but blogs so I've got like 30 pieces, of shorter
Fabulous.
things. Yeah.
So will you make sure you include the URLs or where people can get your
Yeah.
book in the show notes that I'll post also? Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's jump to another thing. I love to do this lightning round because it's never lightning. I don't know. I'm not capable, I think, of a lightning round, but I try. um, are you a dog or a cat person?
I love both, actually, but right now, in fact, I have a kitten trying to get in the door over there as we're speaking. So sassy, and she is a sassy little girl. Yeah, so, but I've had dogs as well as cats in my life. But I'd say living on an island, it's easier to have a cat if you want to travel at all.
Yes. How about coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Um, and would you say you're a person, you already sort of answered this. The problem with being empaths is we feel each other, and sometimes my questions get answered before I even ask them, but I still ask them for the variety of what might happen when I do.
Right?
Are you someone who lives in the box or out of the box?
Totally out of the box. My sister says, Gail goes, what box?
Uh,
don't even know there is a box. Yeah.
so there's a slight difference between being out of the box and what box. Which one of those really better defines you? Because what box means I don't even know if there is a box, and out of the box you clearly see the box, but you're out. You decide not to go into that box.
It's more, I guess, some of them. It depends on which box leaping I've done. When my husband and I left our careers in our 30s to come to a Greek island for 1 year,
Wow.
I'm 72 now, that we, everybody thought we were insane. He was
Yeah.
being groomed to be the top lawyer of AT&T and
Yeah.
up 700 lawyers. And I was a management consultant doing with DuPont, the Air Force, with Dream House, sports cars, the whole thing, and one night I just said, let's do an exercise I do with these CEOs, what would you regret at 85 looking back if you hadn't been it or done it or had it? We didn't share, we just wrote separately and prayed there was something to say. And we had 3 things to say, and we'd regret if we didn't live in another country or culture, if we didn't simplify our very complex lives, and if we didn't get closer to nature. And we looked at each other and we said, these corporations aren't going to give us any of those.
Wow.
So the original thought was, we'll quit for a year. Quit the
Yeah.
jobs, you're not going to hold them. Go to Greece for a year. We loved Greece already. And then we'll come back and find new jobs. Well, we didn't go back for about 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was about 40 years ago. Is my math correct?
That was 33 years ago.
33 years ago. So 33 years ago was a different time than this time now, where offices are mobile and you could conceivably continue to work with the work you were doing.
We didn't have
from
to.
Greece.
Frank had one of the first personal computers on the island,
Yeah.
but that wasn't immediately.
Right.
And it was writing handwritten letters to your family, and it'd take weeks to get there. And yeah, it was totally different. We had to wait 8 years for a telephone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
totally
when Gail says this, what I just want to elaborate upon for you in your mind is that it isn't the world we're living in now, where it's not that hard to be a nomad and travel and do your work.
No,
it was really leaving because
it was an adventure.
It was an adventure to do it.
Yeah. Same thing after Frank died. People said I should go back into consulting work and make real money.
Right.
And I said, I can't, I have to stay true to myself and what I need to do for me now. And so I stuck then with teaching art and doing massage and energy work, Reiki, teaching and everything. And then I had I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bridge to Nowhere in Southern California.
I'm in Southern California, but I don't know that. I don't know what the Bridge to Nowhere is.
It's above Pasadena in the San Gabriel forest there, the park. I used to own it. Still is the only private property. And so I rented this bridge to a bungee jumping company, and I wasn't ever going to jump because I couldn't even get near the edge. But I invite, friends to go out. We camped out there and they could jump, but then they kept saying, you need to jump too. So I all of a sudden felt this complete peace. And I said, now I can get near the edge and I can jump.
Wow.
And they started counting. I said, wait, I have to set my intention. and, and they looked at me like, and it was three years after Frank died. And I thought, okay, this is a leap of faith into my next chapter,
Wow.
you know, reclaiming me, sense of adventure. So and then when they pulled you up, you know, your arms are like this and everybody else is, and they said, my God, look at you. And I went, if I can do that, I can do anything. And on that bridge, decided to move to Africa. So I
Wow.
moved to Africa for 3 months and stayed 6 years. So
Wow.
yeah, reclaim my sense of adventure on my own, which was a lot harder to do something like that on my own.
So
At 51.
let me ask you, because it's so exciting to meet somebody who has the courage to uproot and follow their heart and do what their heart is telling them, because so many people in this world don't have would love to do those types of things, but don't feel that they can, because they feel trapped by the borders of the stories that they've told themselves or whatever it is that they've done.
That's the key, what you just said. It's the boxes they're thinking that they can't.
So how did you get out of those boxes?
Well, when I realized the other didn't fit me, that night we sat there and did that exercise and looked at our lives and looked at the people at the top that we were, you know, in the rat race heading for, trying to get to. And we looked at what we really wanted, a simpler life, closer to nature, and more different experience that these weren't going to give us. When we looked at the people at the top, yeah, they had a lot of money, they had beautiful homes, they didn't have time for each other. You know, and we didn't want that. So it was more consciousness, I guess. That's a key thing for me.
So
being conscious in my life.
I love that. And I understand moving from the rat race to, where was it? Did you move to Greece together? Is that what?
That's when we moved to Greece. First, we backpacked for a year around the world.
Okay. All right. So I understand doing that, because that makes sense and you're together. But now you're in this beautiful place. What now makes you say, I'm going to leave this beautiful place and go and start a new adventure by going for 3 months, which is really 6 years, to Africa?
Well, at that time, we were living in Santa Barbara. That's where he died, in California. So I just moved back to Santa Barbara after he died. And so I wasn't currently living here. I was renting the house. And so then, and I wasn't ready to come back where we had lived in 10 years, and all this took a little while. So doing that, then the timing was perfect. I'd had my sense of adventure. You know, I thought Greece was wild before that, but Namibia is another world. I mean, it was I say my body was born in Alabama, my spirit was born in Greece, but my renaissance was Namibia. You know, it was incredible experience, incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. But I had a childhood of moving. I had a childhood of 15 states, 25 schools and universities.
Wow.
So I was already a little bit of a gypsy, you know, a lot of a gypsy.
Yeah, so you weren't a stranger to moving, and moving was almost familiar to you. It was almost more comfortable than staying put.
But I did have finally at one point in my life, I had to grieve that, because I hadn't grieved all that, saying goodbye all the time. And so I think that's a little bit why it's important to me to have, this is home base, and has been for 33 years, you know. But my mother had always said, you know, I said, I don't have a hometown. I don't have roots anywhere. She goes, you're a potted plant. You take your roots with you, you know.
I love that.
Now I put some roots down here, but I can also travel in a pot too.
I love
take
that.
my roots with me. Yeah.
What were you looking for, if anything?
Well, I think also one of the key things that triggered that whole change of our lives was me becoming consciously on my spiritual path. And that was 35 years ago, right just before all those major decisions. And I'd had a massage. Before that, I only knew things like Elizabeth Arden massage.
Right.
And I didn't understand what I was experiencing, but I felt energy. But luckily, I said to myself, shut up, Gail. Don't think about it. Just experience it and think about it later. And then this energy just spread all through my body. And then I heard, this is energy. I'd never heard anything before.
Right.
And you need to learn how to do this for yourself and others. And I listened.
Wow.
No.
So was the person that was giving you the massage at Elizabeth Arden Spa doing Reiki on you or doing energy work?
No, it wasn't at Elizabeth Arden. It was not at all at Elizabeth Arden. I was with one of my art students, and we had gone to Florida from New Jersey and went dancing one night, and it was the guy I ended up dancing with. But he asked me, I said, thank you for asking me to dance, and I mean the big dance.
Right, that's right. I love it. I love it.
So then when we did the backpacking around the world, my focus was the earliest spiritual beliefs and symbols. I love symbols that I could find in each country and culture. So being an artist, I kept notebooks with writings and sketches and paintings. And so that was a really rich experience. And we had appointments to meet people.
Yeah.
And they knew it and we knew it and we met, like Aboriginal people. And, so I had real amazing experiences, beautiful experiences. So I'd say that's one of the most passionate thing in my life is my conscious study spiritually, my spiritual life.
I love it. So you see, I suck at lightning rounds because we're already, but it's okay. I know both.
You can't control lightning.
I can't control lightning. It just slashes. I know both of these are important, and I can understand that you would answer both because both of them are important, and people want to answer both. But I want to know for this specific moment in your life, not this moment where you're talking to me, but this moment in time.
Yes.
Which is more important to you right now? Is it more important for you to speak your truth and be heard and have a platform to be able to speak what it is you want to say? Or is it more important for you to hold a platform for other people to be where you can listen to other people speak their truths?
Wow. If I have to pick one, because I think a conversation is both.
Yeah.
And communication masters in communication, human relations. I know that you have to have that for understanding to happen. Both listening and speaking. But I would say with my focus and started when I came back here, so in my 60s, as I've written those books in my 60s, is expressing my life, my wisdom that I've gathered, my experiences. So many people that meet me say, you've got to write a book about your life, Gail,
Yeah.
Which I
and then you tell them, oh, you haven't done that book.
No, I haven't done that.
Oh. When I was at Hay House, that was the book that was the hardest for most people to write. I was the director of business development, and I brought all these New York Times best-selling authors to Hay House.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And I realized the books that they wrote most of the time were the periphery books, the easy ones for them to knock out. But the hardest
Well, I wouldn't say Resilient Heart was an easy one to knock out because it's my gut and heart. But it was a blend. It was not only my experience, because I didn't think just my experience is going to be that powerful for everybody.
Yeah.
But I had been a hospice volunteer for years, so I pulled in all my experiences and more research and
Beautiful.
Illustrate with my stories but others as well. Yeah.
Have you always felt like you fit into the world, or have you always felt you're a little bit different?
I kind of relish being different. Yeah. I don't want to be normal, whatever I don't know. Yeah.
So it's one of the interesting data points that I'm getting from this is that most people answer some variation of what you just said, but leaning towards the conclusion of wanting to be different. They might not say it that I relish being different, but they might say I feel different, or they might say that I've never felt like I fit in, or
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, again, the population that I'm drawing from may be a population that resonates to mind, and that's why I want to broaden the population to see what a larger population would feel like. But in a world which asks people to fit into it, our schools ask kids to fit in, our religions ask people to fit in, our government asks people to fit in, our social economy asks people to fit in, our medical system asks people to fit in. I wonder why so many people are trying to get people who feel different. The majority of the people I talk to feel different. Why we're trying so hard to get people to fit into a world that we don't even want to fit into, that we feel
But then I
different from.
think, but I think a lot of people, maybe not the population you're talking with, want to fit in. I think the majority want to fit in and feel like they belong in that, whatever that, even if it's not comfortable being
That
inside that circle. Um,
that was my premise when I started this
yeah,
show, but the
yeah,
people that I'm talking to say that isn't what they want. They may have tried to fit in, they may still try to fit in,
yeah,
but they still feel different. It's just
yeah.
interesting. I'm just
The thing is, are they comfortable with feeling different? That's the thing. Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
some, again, on the gradient of that scale, some are more, some are less, right? But
I was reading in a book just yesterday on the beach actually, and it said so many of us are acting, in a play and trying and so concerned about what people are thinking of them, and there's not even an audience. You know? But they're
yeah,
so worried what people are thinking,
yeah.
and that's the
Yeah,
same thing.
I've heard it said slightly differently, but the same thought, that we're all acting on a stage wondering what people are thinking about us, and people in the audience are wondering what people on the stage are thinking about us, and nobody's really listening to anybody. We're just all worried about what somebody else is thinking about us. Right? A similar idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think you've answered this already, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the question. Would you say in life you've operated more from your head or from your heart?
Heart,
Yeah.
very much from my heart. And if I ever, and it's right now with what's going on in our world, is I see so many people leaning towards fear instead of love. And if I ever in my life, like even after Frank died, and I had huge bills, $37,000 credit, I mean, it was horrible, but magic happened
Yeah.
when you surrender. But before I knew that, I thought, it would be real easy just to not go from my heart, to go from fear, make a decision based on fear. And I really am determined never to make a decision based on fear. And I haven't for not my adulthood. Yeah. But I've been tempted at times,
Yeah.
but then I see myself, I try to stay in that witness part, but not always successful. But yeah.
But what a beautiful statement to even affirm, even if sometimes you fall short of it, which it doesn't seem like you have. But what a beautiful, because in a world that operates primarily from the head, I think. I mean, my wife does healing work. Her slogan, she does a form of Reiki, because she calls it source energy alignments. And
It's all
so
the same energy, whatever
all
we
same,
call it.
right?
Yes,
Totally,
yes, yes.
totally. But her byline is trust in the power of your heart.
Oh
And
yeah, I like that. Yeah.
right, and it's just so
Oh,
powerful and so magnetic,
yes.
and we think that the heart energy is just the emotional energy, but there's a heart energy that is a wisdom energy, that is not caught in the emotions of the body. It's caught in the wisdom of the universe. And then there's,
It's to me, it's the soul, the spirit. It's that spark of divine in
yeah,
us is
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
that's where there is no fear.
So
So
it,
when I try to reconnect with that part of me, if I
yes,
feel that I'm losing that center. Yeah.
just to reaffirm, in the beginning of our conversation, I said it takes a little while to get to know people, but to see how much I've had a pause, because there's so many areas that we are completely similar and that I haven't wanted to get in the way of it just coming out. But I love just getting to know you and not even knowing that you existed really 18
Yeah,
seconds ago, right? And to
right.
see this level of resonance and this level of connection with people that we didn't even know exist just reaffirms to me how important it is to have conversations with people we don't know. And
And
I
how
just wanted to,
connected we really are if we
I,
allow that conversation to happen.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Would you say you're a leader or a follower?
Leader.
So a lot of people answer leader, and I used to leave it at that. I want to ask you, if I can, a little bit deeper, if that's okay.
Sure.
You're not in America right now, you're in Greece, but the world sees America. And so I'm going to use an example from America, if I can, that I
Sure.
think is around the world also. But when you look at the leadership of our world, not only politically, but educationally, medically, scientifically, relationship wise, healing. Um,
I send energy at least once a week to those people
yes. Okay. So
for guidance. Yeah.
what I want to do is I want to just, because it's such an easy, low hanging fruit to bite from, to look at the politics of America's world right now,
Yeah.
and where
It's
we,
scary to me.
yeah, a little bit, but we as a people elect people to lead us, and I'm not wanting to get involved in whose side you're on, if you're a pro-Trumper
No,
or an anti-Trumper, because everybody in my mind has the right to believe whatever they want to believe.
I agree with that too.
Okay. And when I look for leadership within the silos of either one of those camps, I don't see a whole lot of leadership, because to me, a leader is somebody who has the ability to say, what we're doing here is fabulous. This part of what we're doing is great. This part isn't so great. And we really need to take a look at it, and we really
Ramp this
need
up.
to
Yep.
lift it up, right? But I don't see anybody in like, go the pro-Trump camp. I don't see people in the pro-Trump camp saying we've done some amazing things to the world, with the world, and we've also done some lousy things, and we've got to stand up and fight against the things we're doing lousy, not fight against, but understand the
It's
things we're
not
doing
being
lousy.
objective. Yeah.
Yeah, to change it. And if you go into the Democrat or the Trump anti-Trump camp, they don't give the poor guy a break. I mean, whether he's a poor guy or a rich guy, it doesn't matter. Every corner he turns, he gets hit with a wooden post. He's just like, he hasn't done anything good. And everything they look at, they bash him, they kick, they knock him down. And there's nobody within that point of view that says, oh, that he's done a few good things. Let's give the dog a bone. Let's salute him for the things that he has done, and let's work and let's build from that place to see if we can come together and agree on some things we can do together to bring unity into this
Well,
place.
what you're pointing out is the divisiveness we see in
Yeah,
politics in the States is so sad to me.
yeah,
You know, I don't see a coming together and working really for the best for our nation as
yes,
a team rather than Republicans or Democrats.
yes,
You know, um, I don't see heart.
yeah, yeah.
Talk about heart and mind. I don't. This is what's yeah.
Well, both sides pledge their allegiance to the Constitution, and the Constitution says, "We the people," and it ends with one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
For
for all.
all.
For all, right? And so,
Yes.
but it's one nation under God, indivisible. And so, somewhere
Yes.
along the line,
Yes.
we've
Yes.
made some choices that the divide is more
Yeah.
important. I mean, I grew up in a culture that said, "United we stand, divided we fall." And I don't know what happened to that. And I'm wondering,
Well,
where is the leadership? And then I had a conversation with a stranger, and this is where it's a long question. Pardon me for taking so long.
that's all right.
I had a conversation in this room with another stranger where I had an amazing realization from something she said to me. What I realized is like attracts like. And
Mhm.
most of us don't have the power or the strength to stand up against the momentum of our own actions. Because just like what happens in the world outside of us, it happens in the world inside of us. We have some great things that we do, and some we don't, and some things we don't do very well. And
True.
I look at my own life. I love the person, the human being that I've become. But
Oh,
there's some,
that's great.
thank you.
Yeah.
But there's some things that I'm doing that are not in my best interest.
Yeah.
And I don't
We can
have
all be tweak a little.
tweakable, right? And sometimes I look at the momentum of how long I've been doing those things, and I don't have the courage to stand up to the momentum of that. So why wouldn't I elect leaders that don't have the courage to stand against the momentum of what's going on in the world? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
It's
I'm
easier. I
wondering,
guess it's easier.
yeah, I'm wondering for you as a leader,
Mm,
a long question for just finally
okay.
here. How do you stand up to the momentum of your own self that when you see yourself being led in a direction that is not a healthy direction for you to go?
This
How do you
comes back
stand
to
up
that
to it?
consciousness, the consciousness I was talking about. I take stock um, in 8 areas of my life at least once a year and
Okay.
have for 50 years. Um, so I'm very conscious where I'm at because it's just like we were talking about with the rat race. You can be so caught up in your, well, I think right now is a perfect example with the virus, the coronavirus.
Yes.
People have been forced to stop their normal program, with whether it be actual physically going out and doing something, but socially, work-wise, everything has been kind of put on hold. Uh, and a lot of people I'm talking to are really realizing they want to be more conscious in what they put back in their lives.
Yeah.
But
It's
it takes us to step out of this is why travel has always been great for me in my whole life. I would get such insights by stepping out of my normal, and then I could see it easier. Now I'm learning, finally, 72, finally, how to catch myself during living
yeah.
something in my actual life rather
So
than
so that's the
living from
place I
outside.
really like. I understand your philosophy, and I understand that that's how you live your life based on your philosophy. But it's that
Yeah.
last statement that you made is which was really what I was interested in. That's the question I was asking. How, after 72 years of your life, how have you started to catch yourself in these moments, living in these moments, the life that's moving you away from what you want? Not just in the general philosophy, because we all can
No,
answer the
no, no. Because
philosophical.
it's catching yourself focusing on grievances or the problems in the country rather than focusing on love or the positives in our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I play this game that I do a lot in swimming where I take the alphabet, and if I've been looking at the news and I go swimming, and then I pick positive, uplifting words with
Hmm.
each letter of the alphabet, and it just raises your vibration in my language.
Love it. Love it.
Um, you
So
rise above those things.
in the book that's hanging over my left shoulder here,
Yes.
it's the book that I wrote. It's called The Mosaic. It's a story about a boy who loses his parents 2 years apart on the same day. And when he asks
Oh,
the adults where his parents are, they tell him they're in a place called heaven. So that young boy sets out in search of the place called heaven, having no idea where it is, but expecting the people that he meets to be the clergymen and the saints and the swamis and the
mm,
gurus and the medicine men and women and the aborigines elders. But those aren't the people that he meets. He meets the trash man and the road worker and the homeless man and the blind woman and the juice man and the waitress and the gardener and the flower girl.
Mhm.
And he wonders, why in the hell am I meeting these people? Like, what are they going to show me about heaven? And he hears his voice say to himself, just sit with them and listen to them. And just take time. You don't have anywhere to go. You're not in a rush. You're on this journey. Just listen to what
Yeah.
people say to you.
It's kind
And
of what you're
Gail,
doing.
like
Yeah.
that, like hello,
Yeah.
hello. And so, in 100% of the cases, Gail, what he found is the person he initially saw when he walked up to him wasn't at all the person that he was seeing now. They were completely different than the preconceived notion he had of them when he just took time to listen to them. And he wondered, after it happened over and over and over and over and over again, if he ever saw anything the way it was, or if he only saw everything the way he was.
We
And when
do.
he, right,
That lens. Yeah.
and when he had that thought, he looked to the right and he saw a monk unzipping the sky and inviting him to walk into a parallel reality where he met the keeper of the Mosaic, which was the wise one. And
Wow.
I paused there for, if you're interested in reading it, it's available on Amazon.
Yes.
People can get it, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
but the beauty of that story is that the world we see is, quite honestly, not the world that is. And
We have
when
our own lenses and filters. We do.
we see even the image of a mosaic, which is not what I focus on in the book, but in an image of the mosaic, you very rarely see pieces that are side to side connected. Most of the time, many times, not most of the time, but sometimes, you see pieces that are connected only in the smallest possible corner like this, meaning most of what this piece thinks and most of what this piece thinks don't agree. But this small connection's enough to
They can
keep
connect.
they
Yes.
connect, and it keeps the totality of the mosaic whole. I
Yeah.
wonder why simple art can teach us so much that we can't understand as human beings.
I've done mosaics. Yes.
Yeah,
It's in taking the broken pieces and making beauty out of it.
yeah,
Yeah. And when you were talking about talking to the trash man or the homeless, my sister works with the homeless in Texas, and she said the biggest thing that they need is not, food. I mean, they need those things too, but she said the most important thing is they want to be in conversation with
yeah,
people.
yeah,
They want people to see them first of all,
yeah.
and speak to them person to person, human to human. Yeah,
Can I share
yeah.
a story with you?
I'd love to hear us.
I've tried to be quiet, but I don't think it's
No, no, no.
possible
It's
for
just,
me.
this
No,
is a conversation.
I
I
know.
expected you to talk.
I've had the beautiful opportunity in my life to mix and be amongst the richest of the rich, to sit in their living rooms and at their dining tables, to meet their parents and play with their kids, to sit around the table and have long conversations late into the night, where they've been kind enough to offer me counsel and even kinder sometimes to ask my counsel. And it's been glorious to do that and to get to know these people and have real relationships with them. I've had that happen also with some of the most spiritual and inspirational people in the world. I've been lucky enough to do exactly the same things with them as well. To not see them as other people see them, as these pedestaled people that are hard to
Right.
reach, but to
Humans.
sit with them and have them tell me their struggles and listen to them, and just be there to listen to them and hold the space for them to be okay with that. And I've also had the beautiful, luxurious opportunity to sit on some street corners with the poorest of the poor,
So,
and and
yes.
have the same exact
Yes.
situation happen. They've been kind enough to share their counsel with me and ask my counsel, and I've been kind. I've on occasion met their family and met some of their friends, and we've sat together. And I've brought a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread and a slice of cheese, and we've sat together and shared meals, not as glorious as
Authentic.
authentic meals, right?
Yes. Authentic connection too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed in all those places, no matter what color their skin, no matter what religion, no matter what border they lived behind, no matter how wealthy they were or how poor they were, all of them wanted the same three things. They wanted to be loved and accepted. They wanted to be listened to and heard. and they wanted to be acknowledged and validated.
I was going to say acknowledged. Yeah.
Yeah. In my 65 years of life, no one's ever said to me, Danny, it's important that you agree with me and you believe like me. Because once they feel accepted and loved and acknowledged and validated and listened to, they know that I have the right to my own opinions, just like they have the right to theirs. And so one of the people that inspired me the most, and I try and get his story in everything that I do, because he'll never know that I'm telling his story, is a homeless guy who I met on the streets of San Diego one day. And I'm a bit of an empath, so I feel people as I'm walking down the street. And on this day, somehow I was particularly empathetic, and I would feel people's pain in their heart as I would walk by. I'd feel their crippling pain in their legs and I almost dropped me to the ground. I would feel pains in the necks and body parts, and it was so immense for me that I had to get off of the throes of where the people were and go to the corner of the street. And at that corner was a homeless man who was very protective of his corner and said, "This is my corner. You can't stay here." And I said, "Believe me, I want nothing from you. I just want to sit with you. And I just want to talk with you a little bit." And he said, "Well, I'm working here." I said, "How much will you make in the next 20 minutes? He said, $5 or something like that. I said, here's $50, just so you know, if you make if you make $5 more, you keep that too. I just want to listen to you and hear you." And it took him about 45 minutes for him to be okay with that.
Well,
But
probably because it's so rare for him to have that experience
very
of
rare.
somebody really interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 45 minutes, I asked him, "Corey, of all the things, you see these people passing you by, if you could stop them at any point in time and just say one thing to them, what would you like to say?" Gail, he didn't miss a beat. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. He said, "I would ask each one of them to take 10 minutes out of the course of their life and go up to someone they don't know. 10 minutes out of the course of their life and go up to someone they don't know and just ask them how they're doing. Not to try and help them, not to try and save them, not to try and fix them, not to try and do anything, but just listen." And I said, "Corey, what a beautiful thing to ask people of, but why that? I mean, here you could ask them for a home, for food, for you to take care of, to end homelessness. And why would you ask that?" And he said, "Danny, 3 months ago, I had a really bad day. The life of being homeless is not a beautiful life in any way, shape, or form. People will kick you, people will yell at you, people will spit at you, people will urinate on you, they'll throw bags of defecation at you, they'll steal your money, they'll make fun of you, they'll laugh at you. On this day it happened, all of it happened on the same day." And I felt like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not proud of this life. I don't wake up and say,
I
"Thank God
didn't choose it.
I'm homeless," right?
Yeah.
And all that's happening is I'm bringing pain and suffering, and people are getting mad at me. So the street behind them, where we're sitting now, Danny, is a dark street. Nobody walks it. Nobody goes on it. And I made a decision that night to go on that street and take my life. And I was going to end my life on that street where nobody would see me. And about 2 minutes after I made that decision, a man came up and put his hand on my shoulder. And he said to me, "How you doing, brother?" And he said, "Danny, I have to tell you, tears started coming out of my eyes. I couldn't contain myself, and I just started crying and crying." And he didn't leave. He sat down next to me and he held me. He said, "Can I hug you?" And for some reason I let him hug me. And he just held me while I cried in his arms.
He saved his life.
And when I stopped crying, he said, "Tell me what's going on." He said, "Danny, it only took about 10 minutes. But after 10 minutes, I couldn't end my life that day because someone who had no idea who I was stopped and took 10 minutes to care enough about me to love me."
This friend of mine had a near-death experience, and in that he had a review, as often people do, of things he could have chosen more wisely to how he behaved. But this particular thing was a positive thing. But he would never have remembered this because it was just holding a door open for a woman carrying
Yeah.
something at a shop. But he was shown how that little act of kindness, she was going to commit suicide that day, and she didn't because of that.
Yeah.
We don't have a clue the power we have of connecting with consciously with people
I love that.
from our heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what Corey finished up by saying to me is, he said, I never saw that man again, but I wish I could have told him that he saved my life that day. Well, I've never seen Corey again, but I wish I
But
could
he's
tell him.
changed your life. Yes.
I wish I could tell him that he's partly
Yes.
responsible for these 50 conversations. He's part.
Yes.
Every place that I've gone, every boardroom I've walked into, every speech that I've given, every podcast that I've been on, every TV show that I've given, I try and tell
You
Corey's
say his
story.
name, Corey. Yes.
And Corey, and I say even more what he asked, that if you would only take 10 minutes out of the course of your lifetime to just sit with somebody you don't know and just ask them, how are you? What that would do to the world.
Yes, just once in your lifetime.
Just one time. And so those last few moments were in honor of Corey. So thank you for letting me share that with you. Because we're talking about listening right now, with all that's going on in the world, do you think the world's trying to say something to us?
The world trying to say something?
Yeah, the universe. You know, we have global warming, we have COVID-19, we have race protests, we have Me Too movements.
I think it's a wake-up call, actually.
What do you think it wants us to wake up from?
I think a wake-up from our greed and selfishness. You know, our planet is our bodies. It's our life. It's like hurting our physical body.
So what would be the one thing you think it would be saying to us in that wake-up call?
Make conscious choices before it's too late.
Beautiful.
What I hear.
Beautiful. And your answer may be the same to this question because of who you are as a human being and what you hear the world say to you. But I'm going to ask you also, if you had 1 minute right now to speak to a world that is experiencing all these things, and you were able to give them 1 minute of counsel, 1 minute of love, not really to fix them or change them or help them or support them, but just to hold the space for them to just say what you wanted to say, what would you like to say to them?
In all this chaos that we're experiencing right now, to stay out of that cloud of chaos and overwhelm and unknown that's scary, and come home to your heart. You can't see. I had my head's my heart. Come home to your heart. Come home to yourself. Come home to the truth of who you are. You are love. You are secure within. I learned that a long time ago. We lost a lot of money in our lives, and I learned that security is nothing about the bank. It's nothing. It's right here inside of me, wherever in it. If I stay connected with that part of myself, I'm secure, no matter what happens.
Beautiful. Gail, how could people get in touch with you if they're intoxicated with you as I am? How would they reach you? I mean, we're going to put all your social media links in here, but what's the best way for them to reach you?
It's probably either on Facebook, Gail Saunders, or you could reach me on my website, gailsaunders.com.
Fabulous. Yeah. Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking your time and being here with us, for having such a beautiful conversation.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, Danny.
Me too. And for being so open and honest and vulnerable and real, and for sharing yourself in such a beautiful way. If the words that Gail has spoken resonate with you, reach out to her, okay? Because in a world where strangers, nobody contacts anybody. But we're changing that world one conversation at a time in this room. One conversation at a time. And really, it's more than one conversation.
I love being the 50th.
That's right. I'll put you as 50. I think you're 49 or 48, but you're in those 3 conversations. But here's the beautiful thing. by you and I having a conversation and being strangers, strangers are listening to this conversation, and more strangers are meeting you than just me. And the beautiful thing is, as we open ourselves up to the strangers of this world, what we just might find is they aren't strangers at all. They're friends. We're connected in ways that we couldn't even imagine. And
They're
when
just friends we haven't met yet.
that's totally. And when we allow ourselves that connection, what becomes possible? We are what the Mosaic has shown me, and the beautiful mystical work that it's done on me, is we are one piece away from everything we want, one connection away. And so if we're
And
connected,
we are all one. We are all connected.
we are all
If we
connected.
tune into it, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. So the pieces that surround you can either block you from those connections or open up those connections to you. Which are you choosing to have happen? So again, and to all those people who are listening, I want to thank you for showing up and listening to the show. If you like it,
And I
please
thank
share
you
it.
too.
Yeah. And share it with your friends. Please be so kind. If you liked what you heard, to share it. The only way we know what we like is when others share it with us and they give us the opportunity. So thank you, Gail. Thank you to people. Gail, is there one last thing you want to say before we go?
Follow your heart.
Beautiful.
Choose love rather than fear, even when fear is trying to grab you.
Fabulous. So with that being said, to everybody who's listening, thank you so much. Follow your heart. Do what your heart tells you to do. Don't be, I understand the temptation to be scared, but see where your fear takes you, see where your heart takes you, and see where you want to go. You have the choice. Until the next stranger comes into this room, I want to thank you for strangest things in the world are the people that I didn't know 18 seconds ago. I now feel are inside my heart and are my friends. Thank you all. We'll see you next episode. Until then,
Bye-bye.
don't be strangers. Ciao. Bye bye.